China's navy is getting bigger and better and doing it at a speed unmatched by any nation around the globe. Earlier this month, the People's Liberation Army Navy launched two 13,000-ton Type 055 guided missile destroyers, Asia's largest, most sophisticated and most lethal combat ships. This ship in particular has a sophisticated design, stealth features, radars, and a large missile inventory. It is larger and more powerful than most US, Japanese, and South Korean destroyers, said RAND Corporation senior analyst Timothy Heath. The double launching shows Beijing's unmatched military shipbuilding ability and its desire to project naval power far from Chinese shores, said Heath and other military analysts. According to a report by China Daily, posted on the PLA's English language website, the Type 055 will have double the firepower of China's Type 052D destroyers, which it said are currently the largest and most powerful surface combatant commissioned in the PLA Navy. China says each new destroyer will have 112 vertical launch tubes, from which it can fire long-range attack missile, the equivalent of the U.S. Navy's Tomahawk missile used as recently as Washington strikes in Syria this year. The missile launchers can also carry weaponry to target incoming aircraft, enemy ships and missiles. Anti-submarine warfare operations are the responsibility of 2 helicopters aboard each Type 055. The new destroyers also boast a stealth design and high-end electronic battle management system to integrate Chinese aircraft carrier battle groups, the China Daily report said. This ship is designed for escorting Chinese aircraft carriers to more distant regions such as the Middle East, said he. That would give China a so-called blue water navy, one that can operate far from homeland coasts, something that right now only the U.S. Navy can do in overwhelming numbers across the world's oceans. The PLA Navy is progressively building a particularly well-defined blue water fleet that will be in place at a certain date, said Peter Layton, a former Australian military officer and now fellow at the Griffith Asia Institute. The Majesty of the Chinese state. But through the Type 055's sheer size, it can send a message in waters closer to the Chinese mainland too. The Type 55s are big, very big, said Layton. The ships are a demonstration of the power, prestige and indeed majesty of the Chinese state and its ruling party, he added. China's new ships displace about 3,000 more tons than US or South Korean warships that have been the ones to look up to in Asian waters. In the South China Sea, the Type 055s will have a considerable size advantage over the U.S. Navy's 10,000-ton Ticonderoga-class cruisers and 9,000-ton U.S. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. The Type 55 as handled aggressively they might be able to crowd U.S. Navy ships out simply by their size, Layton said. In the optics test outside China, big is almost always better, he added. It could be that China places more weight on naval diplomacy and thinks port visits from a very large warship will simply overawe the locals, Layton said. Back in China, the July 3rd double launch made big statements about what the U.S. and its Asian allies, and indeed the world, can expect from Beijing in the future. The 2 Type 055s joined 2 others put into the water in June 2017 and April this year. Those ships came off a production line in Shanghai. The most recent 2 came off lines in Dalian, in the Liaoning province, according to the China Daily. It showcases the enormous capacity of Chinese shipbuilders, Heath said. Most countries, including the United States, usually launch 1 ship at a time due to limited shipyard manufacturing capacity. Maintaining 2 simultaneous production lines for 1 model of ship, especially in the same shipyard, is pricey, showing Beijing ranks delivery schedule as more important than cost, Heath said. China will pay whatever it takes to get them finished to a specified deadline, he added. Matching the U.S. Navy. Beijing will pay whatever it takes to stand toe-to-toe with the U.S. Navy, said Carl Schuster, a former director of operations at the U.S. Pacific Command's Joint Intelligence Center. He said he expects China to build around 20 of the high-end Type 055s and augment them with smaller Type 054 frigates and aircraft carriers in service or under construction to field 4 carrier battle groups by 2030. Other shipbuilding is underway for amphibious assault ships, essentially baby aircraft carriers, and helicopter platform docks that can move and deploy marine ground battalions, said Schuster, now a Hawaii Pacific University professor. And China has been leaking through state media that it's working on things like an electromagnetic pulse cannon, hypersonic aircraft and the most modern of launching systems for its aircraft carriers, he said. China is indeed sending the signal that it is both expanding the PLE Navy and equipping it with modern naval combatants equal to that of the U.S. Navy, Schuster said. The China Daily Report said the 2x55 as launched on July 3rd will soon begin sea trials, where crew and engineers will make sure everything works as planned. Those trials have yet to be completed for the two previously launched Type 05-5s, and no estimation was given on when they might actually be ready to be commissioned and join a carrier battle group.